the Thresh, the champions that helped Unicorns of Love find that win in Game 1. And now here in Game 3, Unicorns of Love back on the blue side, we get to see how deep each of these teams' playbooks go. Will we see the same invade coming in? Will things change compared to what they look like in Game 1 and Game 2?
Well, we've already seen some cool stuff coming out from the Unicorns of Love. Some meta, some non-meta. Exileh seems to be returning to... I say returning to, he seems to be adapting to what is strong in the mid lane right now, whereas Xerxe still keeping to his own unique style, and the combination of the two seems to be working out beautifully for the side of the Unicorns of Love. But it looks like the Unicorns are going to continue to ban away what they did in Game 1. Expectations are that the Orianna will be the next ban, try and force H2K to ban away either the Xayah or the Rakan, and then Unicorns can just say, well, we're going to go for a very similar draft like we did.
And I wonder if they're going to be comfortable sticking to the same thing. Xayah now banned away. They do not want to give Samux his turn on that champion. I was honestly really impressed by H2K in the previous game. The Lovers duo, not something that they brought out in the regular season, not something Nuclear and Chei looked particularly comfortable on, but clearly have improved, have developed the necessary skill to play those champions. Now, however, they're banned away, and it's on to the next one. What is the next pick ban going to look like? Mostly it's the same so far, but AD carry's getting a little bit more priority as we move further down. Alistar not going to go into either side this time around.
Tristana, Rakan still left up and available. H2K, if they're sticking to their trends that they did in Game 1, likely going to be a Shogun ban next. To take that away from Vizicsacsi. Definitely a big comfort pick for him. And while in the quarterfinals, he didn't have a huge amount of success on it, it's still something that he is very comfortable with.
And interesting, the Kayn deemed a greater threat than the Cho'Gath, but Tristana's still going to be the priority for Unicorns of Love.
It's one of those bans where you're like, I have not played against enough Kayn to properly know how to deal with it. And Xerxe feels like he's played a lot of Kayn. So yeah. I just want to take him off that, and I don't want to have to deal
But it's also a testament
champion.
to how good he is at the champion.
Oh, for sure.
Too, right? Because when he played Kindred, no one banned Kindred. But the Kayn, a very different story.
Such a good example. I love that, Drakos.
Sivir, though, going to be picked up once again, so very much mirroring the same pick ban we saw in Game 1. Cassio locked in as well. Unicorns of Love, they just want to keep running back these matchups. They can get the Syndra here. Exileh has looked incredibly comfortable in the mid lane. Not something we always say about this guy, but he is definitely showing up in the series so far.
Oh, he certainly is. Exileh making up for his regular season performances, but H2K, they're adapting too. Going to get themselves an early Braum, I think would make a lot of sense. Does really well into things like the Syndra. It mitigates a lot of the lane presence that things like Tristana and a Thresh do have in the 2 versus 2. But then they don't go for Drakos.
No, because see, I like this, because Vedius, look back at Game 1. You know what I saw? You know what I saw? I saw Samux sitting alone in that bottom lane so many times, not dying. Because Sivir and Braum, they're not going to kill people,
They don't kill people.
They don't kill people, which means Hylissang gets to roll into mid lane at level 1 as Thresh and flay a Syndra.
That's true.
And get a flash. And I think that H2K clearly not looking to give up that kind of pressure, but otherwise I agree. Braum, so good the later you go.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what they're basically saying is we want more engaged. We think Chei does really well when he's on those play-making supports. And to be fair to him, he did have a fantastic game too. And he was a big part of why H2K were able to find so many successful
Yeah, but
fights.
speaking of fantastic games, Jarvan looked great in the hands of Odoamne. Unicorns of Love not wanting to see it again. We were surprised to see it go so late and pick ban multiple times. Now, however, it will end up in the ban column. No one going to get a chance to bring out those cataclysms and those clutch scenarios.
So, Sejuani, still a big pick here. Likely to be prioritized by H2K. Then you can give Odoamne the counter pick. Or, with all of these top lane bans coming out, Renekton may rise in value for H2K. Very much depends where their priorities lie if they want to try and give Odo that counter or not.
Shen also taken on the board once again, so H2K comfortable giving up the Rumble despite the potential for a flex pick. Okay, this time around, not quite as concerned, and Unicorns of Love in the end going to ban out the Jace. Very similar to what we saw in Game 1, not looking to give Odoamne that split pushing threat, not looking to blind pick into that champion.
I wonder, because right now Unicorns, they're setting their eyes on the Renekton for themselves. So H2K, they're kind of forced into this situation of, I think they should just lock in the Renekton. But no, their focus is going to be somewhere else. So you said that their focus was not on banning away that Rumble, they're just going to take it away. And I think that Odo, a very comfortable Rumble player as well.
veteran Rumble player. Not a flex pick in the hands of H2K from what we've seen so far. Vizicsacsi, though, very familiar with the matchups. Could be taking the Maokai into it. Probably won't be taking the Draven, but honestly, Maokai's still a solid jungler, not as great as he once was, but can be utilized. And with the Unicorns of Love at the helm, not 100% confident where the pick will go until we see the last pick here.
I'd want to make a prediction, but you never know with Xerxe. Will he bring out another? No, he's going to go meta. He's going to go standard. He'll take it away from Jankos. He has an engage, he has CC, and he's relying on his 2 solo laners, and they have this big, beefy tank front line to play around. So, very well-rounded draft from Unicorns, very much about team fighting. Or could it be? Could this be it? I feel like H2K could also go for a Zac here. I think Zac would be fine. Oh, Gragas is open. Completely forgot about him. He's been so low. Yeah, he's been banned away a lot. But that makes the most sense. Gragas, I'm fine and dandy with that.
Gragas banned away. I like the moment where Ivern was hovered and Chei was sitting there shaking his head like, never again, guys, come on.
Sad thing is, like, I've been doing a lot of theory crafting around Ivern. I won't get into it, but I think he could be pretty good right now.
Is your theory crafting, hey, Ardent Sensor is broken?
Yes, yes it is. Nice, Unholy Grail, Ardent Sensor. Oh.
But he's not picked, so instead, we'll keep focused on the compositions that have been assembled. A lot tankier this time around from the Unicorns of Love. Vizicsacsi not on a split pushing threat, instead on a team fighter, as we often like to see. Xerxe gonna try his hand at the Sejuani. Jankos playing the Gragas. We've seen Jankos be great on this. Hasn't been his priority in playoffs thus far, or in the Gauntlet. I want to see what he can do with it now. Nothing quite as crazy in the jungle. I said we weren't gonna get a standard pick ban phase, Vedius. I thought Unicorns of Love were constantly gonna mix it up, but this is very standard.
Yeah, very, very meta. And I think that both compositions want to do very similar things. Get to mid-late game and team fight. There are a few areas where you can get a few early leads, but it's very reliant on how much roam time these supports get. We know they love to roam. If they pair up with their jungler, you have quite a few lanes that you can make stuff happen in. But for the most part, I think this game is going to be pretty slow into a lot of fighting. Drakos.
I'm down. As long as we get the lot of fighting, Vedius, I am ready. Remember, folks, Fnatic is waiting tomorrow to face the victor of this series. The Unicorns of Love fans are here in force to support their team, to hope that they are the team that gets that shot. One final best of 5 to decide it all. But first, they have to make it through this match. H2K versus the Unicorns of Love. Game 3. Neither team with a lead, neither team with an edge, neither team with an advantage. It is dead even in this series.
All right, so I just saw pings down into the enemy Baron, but UOL, they have a new level 1 strat. Let's see what it is.
They're baiting. Odoamne is going to come down. He is going to spot Vizicsacsi, but nobody else. They've adapted. Unicorns Love pushing for a little bit more. Odoamne is in trouble. Multiple members on the way. Will burn flash. Rocket jump comes over. Not an ideal start for Samux. It does bully Odo out.
Okay, so a few things. Number one, Hylissang used his hook way too early. He literally could have just walked up to Odo and forced a flash out just from the pressure of the hook, or even a flay. Chachi has now skilled W, which is going to hurt his laning phase a lot against the Rumble. And the third thing is, they were pretty much the only CC, unless Xerxe was going to get a few autos off to proc his E. It's now given H2K the ability to get some deep vision down into UOL's jungle. They know where they're going to start. Now, what is H2K's plan?
Interesting. Looks like they may just want to interrupt here. Sivir not the strongest level 1 in the game, but the Ricochet could rain hell on him.
This is like our level 1 strat. Do you remember how badly that went?
You mean, no, this is nothing like our level 1 strat. Let's keep our eyes on their level 1 strat and hope that they don't feed 4 kills like we did. Moving forward, 4 members of H2K. Unicorns of Love smart enough to just walk away from that one.
I feel like they could put up a bit of a fight here. Bit of a time waste if they don't get anything.
Body slam. Hylissang will get locked up. They know he only has the hook.
It's going to reset soon. You can see the patience meter just above the health.
Stun. Does smite it out in the end. That's a big one. Jankos now in trouble. Red buff has been used. Boomerang Blade does so much damage early on, but another stun connects onto Jankos. Hylissang pushing forward, looking for a little bit more, but now that Xerxe is left, this is actually 3v2 in favor of H2K. Game 2 was a brief pause, folks, on the aggressive level 1s, but Game 3, they are alive and well. You can see Hylissang waiting to do anything before he sees Chei and Nuclear in that lane.
So that was a bit of a weird level 1. No one ends up dying. UOL come out with the advantage because Xerxe was able to get his own red buff. And this means that Jankos only level 1. His early jungle clear will be heavily slowed down. But Xerxe being on Sejuani, typically you don't expect a lot of early ganks to come out from this jungler anyway. However, when you have a Syndra, there's always that possibility. And I love the cleanse coming out from Febiven, just showing respect towards the Syndra stun and the ultimate from Xerxe.
Nice input buffer coming in from Samux. Rocket jump at level 1, not a common skill, but one that is going to pay off for him right here. And as we check in on the junglers, you can see Xerxe level 3, Jankos level 1. Will hit level 2. On the back of those Raptors as he manages to clear them out. Is close to level 3, but still pretty decent early deficit for the Gragas. Bit of a frustrating spot to be, but as long as no ganks go down, it won't really cost him in the end.
Jankos yet to get any of his buffs, only level 2. Really bad jungle start because he was unable to steal away that camp.
Burn Smite, I believe, in the exchange as well, so put him even further behind.
Yeah. So Jankos very similarly to game 1. Bit of struggle there.
Been clear.
Wow.
Just the boomerang blade. Samux moving forward, no fear.
He lost the cannon, Drakos. That hurts, man. Really, really hurts.
It's not about CS, Vedius, it's about kills. Never forget that.
And he failed to get it. But now he's at a CS deficit, so how's that kills working out for you, Drakos?
It's 3 minutes, man. Calm down. Don't put too much pressure on Samux and Hylissang.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about these matchups as Chei goes in.
Knocked up, saw the flame burned, and knew it was a perfect time to get the entrance. Samux gets the reset on the rocket jump after the detonation there. Isn't going to use it, however. But honestly, good patient play from Chei. Once the flay is gone, very easy to land that knockup.
And I love this aggro style from H2K's bottom lane, utilizing the power of Rakan to force a lot of fights. You have the spell shield to mitigate the hook if Hylissang tries to go for the AD carry, and then Chei also has his dash to just sidestep any sort of CC that's trying to come out towards him. So I think that H2K are playing this matchup very well. Just taking advantage is Samux forced to jump away once again.
That's a fun skill, folks. Fun skill. As long as you're playing Tristana. If you're playing against her, it's insanely frustrating, but consistently good use for the input buffer on the rocket jump to make sure he makes it out to safety.
You know, that is the bottom lane matchup, but we've got to move our way up to the top lane as well, because it will be another favored matchup for Odoamne with the rumble into the Maokai this time around. And Odo is a player that we do have to give a lot of credit towards because he did have a fantastic game 2 with his job, and his impact was massive.
Now, however, a little bit more difficult as this jungler is being put further and further behind. But when we look at that damage rating for Odoamne, we do have to respect that when this man is given the opportunity to carry, he does so. And maybe even without Jankos, he can do it here in Game 3.
And I think it's really worth highlighting his kill participation there. He was so actively involved in many of the fights, teaming up with Chei to really set up his team for success. And now he's playing more of the carry champions in Rumble. Going to be dealing one of the main damage dealers of the team. His equalizers are going to be crucial in order for H2K to win out on these later fights. But while we were talking about Odo, while we were talking about this top lane, Unicorns of Love, they continued to put the pressure down onto Jankos, and they ended up stealing away his blue buff.
Feels just like Game 1. A little less dominant to Sejuani, not quite as aggressive in the early invades, but Jankos definitely struggling here. Consistently spotted out. They know exactly where this guy is. They know exactly what he is doing. He's not in too far of a deficit quite yet, but when Sejuani hits level 6, you know, a minute ahead of him, that's going to be a terrifying prospect. Bot lane, though, still actually, I'd say, going better for H2K than it did in Game 1. Hylissang has not had the freedom to roam, and I feel like that's a pretty big factor when you look at how comfortably Febiven is sitting in the mid lane.
Yep, for sure. The slight difference, as you rightly said, between Braum and Rakan. Rakan likes to kill things, and he's really good at doing so, so they're just utilizing that pressure to make things difficult for Hylissang and Samux. Meanwhile, while all this has been going on, mid lane has been fairly neutral. Both Exileh and Febiven just free farming away. And again, we have to praise both mid laners really, because Febiven, he wasn't really the superstar of Game 2, but he was a solid performer, very much what we expect of him. And Exileh is matching that. He's an individual that a lot of question marks were coming into this series about how good will he be? Will he be picking up more meta stuff? Or will he still stick to his Talon ways?
Meta. Cassio, Syndra, the only mid laners we've seen in this series, Vedius. No one wants to mix it up. Orianna banned away, or that might be something people go to as well. A few baited hovers, but that's the closest we've gotten. And Exileh actually playing both sides of the matchup quite well. Here, Febiven giving a lot more respect over to him, not putting himself in a position where he can be solo killed. As a result, it's a pretty even early laning phase. And Jankos finally starting to catch up in the jungle as well. This is good news for H2K, surviving the early jungle aggression of the Unicorns of Love.
Very much what we expected, Drakos. Slow early game from both teams. Very much about the team fights later on. And H2K are going to be in a good position to team fight as the game progresses. Especially with this early advantage that the bottom lane has already been able to build up for themselves. Notice the difference there between the BF sword and pickaxe. Because Samux was forced back at an unfortunate time, he did not have the gold to get that big item that so many AD carries rely on. And that is allowing Nuclear and Chei to have that push. But Hylissang, because he was also forced back in the lane earlier, Samux was able to get a bit of free farm, so he's already at that level 6 mark.
Oh man, in level 6, I feel like the potential for playmaking is insane, Vedius. At any moment, we could see a fight on our hands. Neither team wanted to pull the trigger. Both teams playing safe. Sejuani will be spotted out, and that means Xerxe's plans to engage on the bottom side could be interrupted. Jankos no level 6, but still definitely a threat. They have to be careful about pushing too far down on the bottom side. Maybe looking to get bigger advantages. But right now, honestly, Vedius, it is that slow early game, and this is where those small advantages we talked about H2K getting in the previous game.
Look at the junglers. You say slow early game, both of them smell the play.
They're ready. Jankos is still level 5. Ooh, but the mid laners, it's a little different. Febiven actually getting the roam down first. If Unicorns of Love aren't ready for this, it could turn against them.
Here we go. Febiven has arrived.
Moving forward, that's going to be their combo. Moving in for a little bit more damage. Samux is in trouble. Now grounded as he tries to escape. Buster shot to bring him to safety platform from Febiven. Equalizer going to drop. Hylissang is next on the list, and he's going to get deleted as Jankos pulls out the level 6. A beautiful dive coming in for H2K. That's the 3-for-1.
You called it, Drakos. Level 6 has the potential for so much playmaking. I don't know if the action's over yet.
Exileh running for his life, has to respect it. At any moment, Rakan can come in. That's the ultimate coming out. That means Chei is free to move forward. Exileh ready to sidestep at a moment's notice, but that's going to be kills over in favor of H2K. Gold advantage in favor of H2K, and it may just be the tower as well. Moving in for a little bit more. Exileh now locked up, but he's going to make it out at the end of the day. Fantastic start for H2K.
They hit that level 6. Jankos is poised and ready. There was no TP available for Vizicsacsi as well, and Odo saw the opportunity to make a party happen. He TPs in, Febiven roams all the way down, and this was just a beautifully set up play from the entire H2K team in order to get themselves this successful first tower. So there is Chei with the engage, the immediate follow-up from Jankos. Ulti from Febiven doesn't stun anyone, but it does not matter because he's still able to get onto the backline. Odo is there to deal additional damage as well. The Ignite plus tower shot is enough for UOL to get at least one return kill, but it does not matter. The damage has been done. H2K, they get themselves the first tower, they get themselves a lot of kills, and they set themselves up for that early game lead that we are yet to see from them apart from now.
And I like Odo with the TP coming in. A lot of confidence from H2K. A well set up, well thought out play. The patience, knowing that Xerxe was on the bottom side, waiting for them to have a man advantage before they pulled the trigger. This is exactly what we expect from H2K in the early game. Remember, they still have to take Unicorns of Love on in the mid game. They need to keep growing this lead. They need to put Unicorns of Love so far down that they cannot come back, and that is a tough ask. As you can see, Exileh still comfortably farming up in the mid lane. While Febiven was on the bottom side grabbing those kills, he was clearing out the mid wave. Doing so quite easily.
Remember though that both teams, they do scale pretty well. The late game team fights, it's going to be a tough one because the thing is for the Unicorns is they have a lot more of a frontline tank team composition when you have Sejuani, you have Maokai, and even Thresh to a degree. Versus H2K they have Chei on the Rakan, who's a little bit more mobile, not really just standing there soaking up damage, whereas Odo is on a bitty squishy rumble, who can buy some time with the Zhonya's, but his main focus is to just deal damage. So you have this weird setup where H2K, the best thing they can really do is just hit the front line, but they have so much damage that they can all do it together. Whereas if you have Exileh and Samux on the back that's not really at any threat against so many squishy targets, there are a lot of variables that are going to come into this fight about how quickly they can kill this front line on the side of H2K.
Vizicsacsi going to ult, Jankos ready with the body slam, is going to get locked up, but they're just using it to clear out the wave. Meanwhile, on the top side, Tristana is pushing in. She is that demolitionist. She does have that threat. She can solo clear the tower, but Odoamne not looking to let that happen.
Odo, he is 1v1 against the Samux, the Tristana. There's a lot of damage, as you can see.
Yeah, Samux wants none of that. Buster shot out. No thank you, sir. No 1v1 for you. Exileh takes a bit of poke in the mid lane. Little bits of action all across the board. And H2K keep up the pressure on the bottom side. See itemization start to come in. Vedius, one of the things that is interesting to me about this H2K composition is I feel like Adaptive Helm is so disgustingly good against both Rumble and Cassio, and I feel like it makes it really easy for Vizicsacsi and Xerxe to be incredibly effective tanks.
Very much agree with you, and the thing about Sivir is she only really turns on at about 3 items, which she does a huge amount of damage to the entire enemy team because of a ricochet. So that means that the main damage dealers in these mid-game fights are going to be Febiven and Odo, and I think you're right, just getting that early Adaptive Helm can do a lot to mitigate their pressure, potentially allow Exileh and Samux to have a slight edge in these mid-game portions.
Remember, we're still at the point in the game where tanks are using their base damages, very high base damages. Yeah, the scaling sucks, but bases are high enough that they can start to kill these more vulnerable members. So if Chei does not get that flawless engage, if Nuclear or Febiven are left unprotected in the back line, they are still vulnerable to those tanks. But it will come down to execution. Now we get a brief roll in the game. Both teams set up. H2K, though, confidence in their calls. I can hear them with this headset on, listening to these game sounds. I can hear everybody in the team talking, looking to make the next big play.
We can't hear what they're talking about, but they seem enthusiastic about it, and that's the key thing. You've always got to have enthusiasm in whatever you do.
Odo's talking a lot. I can tell one is Odo. I can't tell what he's saying.
He is heading his way towards bot lane.
That's good. Got to be loud and enthusiastic. Guys, I'm going to catch this wave. Hey, what? No, listen to me. Catching this wave right now.
There's a Maokai there. Got to burn him down. And the ultimate counter. You can see pings, though. I think they're setting up for a play in that top side. You can see 3 members hanging around, getting a bit of vision towards this blue area of UOL's jungle, while Febiven looks to exert some dominance over his mid lane counterpart.
Exileh has to be careful. Cleanse is available. Xerxe's here as well. Junglers are almost always in the exact same spot this game. Does stop a lot of those more aggressive plays. So far, H2K in control. We remember we look back at how this happened. It was that one very well-executed bot side dive. But since then, Unicorns of Love not giving up any more opportunities, not showing any more vulnerabilities in the armor.
H2K a little bit hesitant to commit to anything like the Rift Tower for the time being. Hylissang does land a hook.
Moving forward, the combo looking to come out, but he's not going to connect the quickening on anybody. Now moving forward, trying to back out. Hylissang is in trouble. Rumble ult on the backside. Samux is in trouble. One more Electro Harpoon could come in from Odoamne, but he's holding on to it. Right now, it's still H2K in control. Cat's not going to connect. Jankos and Nuclear all running for their lives. For a little bit more damage. Vizicsacsi in trouble. Exileh doing what he can, but he can only hit one target right now. Odoamne looks like he will go down. Xerxe pushing forward. Just the 1-for-1 in the end.
So an extended trade allows Unicorns of Love to at least get 1 kill back, but the initial fight went in the favor of H2K. Nuclear was undamaged, while Samux was forced to focus the front line of Jankos and Chei. That meant that they could very quickly melt through Hylissang, but then as the fight drew on, Odoamne realized that he was in a bit of an unfortunate position. The rest of Unicorns get the collapse. They end up giving away their top laner's life. So both TPs were used there. And the key thing is, look at how early this TP comes out from Odoamne down from behind the Unicorns of Love. They realize that, okay, we can't get onto Nuclear. Jankos is just soaking up all the damage. Odoamne is now going to force Samux out of the fight. And at this point, H2K just have to disengage. But the ultimate from Chachi, rooting up Odo. He's now the one that starts to get collapsed upon because look at the positioning of Exileh. He comes in from behind Chachi. He's there to get the collapse down onto Odo. He uses his flash too late because of the CC. He doesn't respect UOL enough to get that proper collapse. And that means that it ends up going even in the fight.
Looks good for the team overall. Now it's going to be a holding on to the mid lane. Waves are prepped to crash in the middle. Febiven will get this blue buff. Will make for an easy task clearing out the mid lane. If he's a bit too slow, it could be a tower for the Unicorns of Love.
Sivir on her way to the middle lane. Now Febiven getting locked up.
Trouble. Hook is going to connect. Cleanse out. Ulti comes in. Exileh not going to have enough damage, though. He's taking so much back in return. Nuclear dishing it out from the back side. Now firing onto Exileh, running forward, Spell Shield. That's the double kill for the Sivir. This is exactly what H2K want. Unicorns of Love may just look to turn it here. Cats go in. Jankos not going to get stunned up. Chei is in trouble. Samux still looking to dish out more damage, looking to push forward for a little bit more. Jankos wants the kill, but the rocket jump comes off the back of that earlier kill. Does get the reset. Vizicsacsi running, and he's going to drop. What a bloodbath from both sides.
Very close fight in H2K's half of the jungle, but it is H2K that end up coming out on top. UOL commit very hard. They think that they can find the answer in this fight. But unfortunately, they are only left with more questions as H2K continue to siege onto this tier 1.
Want to push for more low health bars. Xerxe clearly hungry to make a bit of a play here. Hylissang on the way in as well. Minion comes in, the real homie for Jankos. They're blocking the hook. H2K will make it out, but most likely will give up their mid lane tower in exchange as the pressure just continues from the Unicorns of Love.
Nuclear stepping it once again. 3-0-4 in this game mode, but now he has much more support from the rest of his team. Febiven having a great game. Jankos, even after the early deficit, is finding ways to be useful as Exileh.
Stun on the Odoamne, looking to take him down. Ulti comes in from the Syndra. That's going to be another kill for Unicorns of Love. That guarantees the mid lane tower, may guarantee the follow-up Rift Herald afterward, but time is ticking until the Baron responds. Are Unicorns of Love gonna get anything else here?
No TP is available on Odo, and Unicorns of Love with all 5 members feeling pretty confident right now. What should have been a great fight for H2K and a start to the snowball ends up being Unicorns of Love effectively punishing the overstep from Odo.
And I think Vedius is the closest these teams have looked all of 2017. Unicorns of Love, they're stopping the bleeding. H2K, good job of snowballing those early leads, but now a battle for the red buff. Lantern is there. Looks like it's not going to be picked up and brought away. Xerxe now in trouble. Exileh debating where to throw it. I guess he's going to try to take it in the end. Not ideal, but no one on the side of H2K is going to grab it. Interesting exchange of plays. Josh doing what he can on the bottom side. Exileh is in trouble. Cass does knock him back. That should be one dead Syndra. In comes Chei as well. Not even needed. Shield the grant and assist and nothing else. H2K will now move in for the mid lane tower, but Hylissang, Xerxe, and Samux are on the way.
Just picks coming out from both teams. UOL found the one onto Odo, and now H2K find the one.
Flash forward, play in. That's going to be the 3-man now looking to keep the fight going. Samux leaps in onto the backside, trying to get Chei. Will get the detonation, can reset the jump. Febiven is moving forward, but Vizicsacsi is here to be the front line for that AD carry. Still 4v3 in the mid lane in favor of H2K.
Hylissang getting a little desperate. They're flashing into 3 members. The tower just drops, and I'm not sure where he thought the damage would come from, because sure, Samux, he has the Infinity Edge, but that is not the late game Tristana that you have had in previous games. He ends up giving away his life along with the tower, and sure, while UOL get one back, that's the flash now gone for Samux. H2K, they're in so much more control of game 3. They got this early lead, and they are holding on to it. We're only going to catch the back half of this fight. Hylissang, just a lot of question marks as to why. I feel like they should have just given away the tower, moved towards the tier 2, see if they can defend, but Unicorns, they always try to make these fights happen. They think they can get something in their favor, and H2K, they just effectively punish.
Hylissang really struggling in this game. 1-4-2 has been caught out so much. A lot of times those deaths have been worth something for the team, but when we look at Chei on the opposite side, who is pretty much dictating the pace of this game on the Rakan, constantly looking to force plays, we are seeing who's coming out on top, at least for now.
I feel like this Rakan is doing a lot of work for H2K. You rightly identified it, Drakos. Chei having a fantastic series so far. We saw why they valued it over the Braum, not only in the laning phase, but now as the mid-game approaches. The goal is still very close. Both compositions still scale very well. We talked how Unicorns, they have more of a tanky frontline, whereas H2K, they have a little bit more damage. Exileh now gets engaged on.
Cass goes in, does not connect. That's a big one. TP coming in. H2K knew Maokai had it. They are going to get it, though, with just an exchange of cooldown. If Unicorns of Love don't find anything, that will be Summoner Spell advantage to H2K. Odo's about halfway completed on the cooldown. He's going to move back down to the bottom side to keep up the pressure. Top side, it is the 2v2. Still going to get the charm. Samux! Not quite perfect on the Buster shot, but is going to manage to make it out. Vizicsacsi now in trouble. He's going to use the ultimate, has to leap back in to try to survive. Ultimate comes out from Exileh. Xerxe now pulling back, not quite sure if he wants to keep the fight going. They've isolated Odoamne and they want to keep this going. Are going to take him down in the end. Hylissang and Samux suddenly in the mid lane. Febiven and Jankos are low. Eyes on the hook. Minions still. Big old booty on that one. Going to block the hook.
And you can see the vigor from the Unicorns of Love still strong, even though they are behind, even though that H2K have a lot of the pressure. UOL are still not afraid to try and force these fights. And by going for a 1-for-1 there, trading top laner for top lane is still not a bad setup for the Unicorns of Love. It's a game proving to be a close one, just like we've seen throughout this series. Sejuani, he goes for an engage. He has Exileh there, but he's not respecting the possibility of Odo coming up right behind him. An issue that we have seen in the past from Sejuani, but they're able to make it work because now Odo separates from the rest of his team. Exileh is standing behind his tank, knowing that he's safe, and they're able to get the kill down. So the play ends up working out in the end, but no objective ends up trading either side.
Now, slight advantage for Nuclear on the bottom side of map, 3-0-4. Chei going to get the knock up onto Vizicsacsi, knock back. Hook's going to go in, but is going to miss. Rare miss for Hylissang in that scenario. Means that H2K will escape. The fights are only going to get harder now for H2K. Double adaptive helm purchases have
Going
finished.
for Baron, Drakos.
Hey, Unicorns love an arena. Baron Pit is definitely one. H2K, Baron buff getting lower, 7K.
Rumble is in the bottom lane. He doesn't have TP. Unicorns know that they have the numbers advantage, but that Baron is getting touchy very low.
Stun coming out. Gonna have to stop Jankos from getting the pit. Hylissang connects the hook. Vizicsacsi taking so much damage from the Baron. Are going to have to back off.
Wow. All right, so they actually don't force the fight onto H2K. H2K showing a lot of respect and basically saying, you know what? We know what you're trying to do. We know that the Baron will eventually chunk you out, and once you get low enough, that's when we'll force the fight. But UOL, I feel like that they got caught off guard there. And H2K, they just read the play very well and reacted accordingly.
And now the TP is up and available, so next time Unicorns of Love want to take that fight, H2K may be ready and willing. Sivir as well, 2 completed items. Samux finally catching up here, but will back and buy a little bit more. Very close race among the AD carries and the mid laners as well. On the Febiven, 4-0-3. Definitely looking like he has the edge right now.
Look at that Void Staff done for the Cassio. Even with the adaptive helm, that's going to be difficult for the Unicorns of Love to deal with. We talked about how this front line is going to be a big determining factor in how these fights play out, but also how the fights even start. As Hylissang, AD carry is nowhere near. He shouldn't look to try and force a fight. Instead, they should just wait. Let some of these external towers drop. Chachi's also pushing in bot, and his TP is going to be coming up, I'd say, in about 20 to 30 seconds.
2K gold difference. 25 minutes in, still a decent lead for H2K.
Run, Hylissang, run.
Hook is going to connect. Xerxe is there. Even though fearless. We'll get the Clen off cooldown. A little late, but wouldn't have been necessary in the last exchange. Good patience coming out from the lineup. Ooh, 25 minutes in. We've been in this scenario so many times, Vedius, in this series where it's just this close mid-game, where the next fight could decide Baron or an inhibitor line breaking. Right now, though, it's Hylissang dictating the pace. Samux is there. Ulti coming out. Chei looking to turn it around, though. Odoamne is here as well. Vizicsacsi is in, but he's a little bit too late already. Hylissang has dropped. Exileh on the backside. Heal comes out from Samux trying to save the day. Petrifying Gaze going in. Vizicsacsi is going to get taken down. Double kill for H2K. Hylissang with a massive misstep, and H2K are now in complete control.
And this time round, UOL, they tried to force a fight on 2 fronts. Exileh goes towards Jankos, whereas Xerxe goes towards the bottom lane, and because they split up, H2K saw the opportunity to punish. TP comes in from Odo, they're now looking for the Baron as Febiven just zones away Xerxe.
3K and dropping Miasmas up from Febiven. That means Baron for the side of H2K. Xerxe was hungry and hoping for the steal, does have the flash available. Things looking a little grim. H2K gonna let him out, but definitely a massive advantage for the H2K lineup.
5,000 gold lead in the favor of H2K right now. They're looking to extend it even more by taking down the tier 1 in the top lane. We talked about how this game was going to be slow in the early, but then progress into big team fights later. And H2K are constantly finding the Unicorns number. So here, see, look, Hylissang engages onto Febiven, whereas Exileh's engaging onto Jankos. Samux, once again, is not ready for the fight. And it just feels like Unicorns, their communication is starting to break down. Trying to make these fights happen on multiple fronts is allowing H2K to just regroup as a 5-man and just slowly chip through whoever is in front of them.
Tank's just not effective enough for the side of Unicorns of Love when they let the enemy team flank, find those opportunities to hit onto the side. H2K has more damage dealers. Can't let them play the fights out on their terms. Will be a tower trade though. Unicorns of Love try to get something back on the bottom lane. H2K and Nuclear just pushing in. Happy to grab all of those tier 2s for free with the power of the Baron buff. And Vedius 2K lead, not massive. 25 minutes, you know, pretty decent. But a 6K lead definitely looks good for H2K right now. And with that Sivir at that 3-item point that you talked about, going to start looking towards 4 here in a couple of minutes. Definitely a terrifying prospect for the Unicorns of Love.
And this is a scary position for the Unicorns of Love fans. Judge, he's going in though.
Over the wall. Righteous Glory moving forward. Hylissang is here as well. Eyes on the hook. Flay comes back, looking to connect it. In goes the Equalizer. They're trying to turn it around. He will give his life. But Unicorns of Love are hungry for blood. And out of nowhere, they find the double.
Every single time you think things look too bleak for the Unicorns to come back, they go, let's fight, let's go, time to rumble.
Vedius, but I don't know about this one. Yeah, they're winning the fights, but their base is starting to fall apart. Sivir, so good at pushing those waves. Odoamne is buying time. Yes, Unicorns of Love, you're going to kill Odoamne, but look at your base. You're going to lose an inhibitor tower. Who cares about the rumble?
Unicorns do, Drakos. The Unicorns care about the kills. They're going to try and slow down H2K, but as you rightly identified, H2K, they got all they want. They've broken into the base of the Unicorns of Love. There's now an exposed inhibitor in the top lane. They still have 2 members that have that Baron buff available. And it was just a bit of a misplay. H2K, they split apart the map too much. They spread their line too thin. And just like in Game of Thrones, a dragon swooped down and blah.
Yeah, but then they like went to the dragon's nest and like broke it open. So I feel like the dragons still lost out on the trade, man.
But it's something for the Unicorns.
It's true, and I think you have to respect that. And H2K are going to be a little bit more wary when they try to make plays like that, because sometimes a Maokai just ults, blast comes over the wall, and starts killing people.
But it's also one of those reasons why so many teams just hate playing against the Unicorns, because who would do that? Who would just suddenly force an engagement onto a Cloud Drake 28 minutes into the game? Unicorns just defy expectations, and they find miraculous ways of just making it work. And again, yes, they did end up losing a fair amount, but they didn't actually lose the inhibitor. But now, with 2 members still having the Baron, it's about to run out though. Let's see where H2K move next. Because they don't exactly have the strongest split pusher. They can't exactly... They could send Odo off to a side lane, but there's the risk of him getting collapsed upon and then losing his life. I feel like H2K, they want to just push out these side waves, group up in a lane, and then just start sieging on the next objective that's in front of them.
Samux, though, 3-item point as well. Nuclear a little uncomfortably close to that 4-item point. A lot of this is going to come down to... I feel like if Unicorns of Love can delete someone just immediately at the start of the fight, they're the clear favorites in these exchanges. But the sustained damage of that Cassio, definitely going to make it difficult. The cleanse up for Febiven, but no flash. Maybe that's a window. Maybe that's an opportunity. For now, however, H2K remain in control. Unicorns of Love are going to do what they can, push out where they can, but can't afford to fight as a full 5 with this kind of gold deficit.
There's also no Zhonya's on Odo. That could actually be a big deal if Unicorns of Love are the ones to force a fight. Speaking of forcing fights, they go in.
Get the ulti out. That's a Righteous Glory Thresh. Flash forward Flay, not going to connect. Waiting. Hook. Flash away. A lot of respect given to Hylissang. Would have connected, though. There's a Chachi now on the backside. No one is here to follow up. Unicorns of Love are split. He gives up 50% of his health for nothing. But if H2K can't force a fight right now, it's not going to matter. Eyes on Vizicsacsi, has to be careful. Hook goes over the wall, not going to connect onto a priority target. Now Chei looking to turn it around. Nuclear trying to get in, but is slowed down by the Sejuani ultimate. Spell shield is up, but not going to block anything. That's the shutdown onto Xerxe. Unicorns of Love ripped apart in that exchange.
H2K just completely ignored the front line and went straight onto Exileh. He did not even have an opportunity to flash with the amount of CC that was stacking on top of him now.
Hook onto Chei, though. He's going to go.
Pop. Okay, Jay's dead, but Unicorns of Love only have Samux left to wave clear, whereas H2K, they have Nuclear, they have Odo, they have Febiven, they have everything that they need to take down that inhibitor and properly break into the Dragon's Nest.
No ulti for Vizicsacsi, still have to be ready for the engage, though. Hylissang is a madman. For a little bit more, Vizicsacsi's just going to burn, however, on the hunt. Use Samux, you got to run for your life. I don't know if the tower's going to protect you. Flash out to safety. A little bit slowed down from the cast. Hylissang playing with fire there in the exchange.
Now, H2K recognizes the Baron spawning in about a minute. They got the bot inhibitor. They just need to reset some of the waves and go back to base. No need to overstay. There is a very clear path for them to be able to close this one out. And that will also be the only opportunity for the Unicorns of Love to somehow fight back in this game. The Baron buff is going to be the key turning point for Unicorns. But let's have a look back at this fight. Unicorns hard commit to try and make this fight happen. But again, really good stuff, and then Chei with the 3-man knockup into Taunt. That equalizer splits the Unicorns up, and then H2K all as a 5-man unit collapse onto the Syndra, preventing him from using any of his summoner spells, and then just shredding through Xerxe, who is left alone.
And I think we once again have to praise Nuclear and Chei. They looked bad against G2. They looked lost. They were torn to pieces in 2v2 fights. But here against the Unicorns of Love, Rakan engages. The Sivir follow-up damage is looking good. Look at that damage in the last team fight. The Sivir pick is online. The late game Sivir is ready to go. And this is exactly what H2K fans have been wanting to see from Nuclear and Chei.
H2K on track to finally break the 2017 curse against the Unicorns of Love. This is still a best of 5. We are guaranteed a 4th game, but H2K, they are the ones in control of game 3. They're setting up vision around the Baron. Scuttlecrab was taken for the Unicorns. Let's see, both now grouping up in mid.
Exile ready, Samux. Vizicsacsi still in the base, however.
Does have TP though.
Good catch from the observers. TP's good, but fight can be over in 2 seconds, Vedius. I don't know if he's got enough time to channel. Now that both teams, once again, the Baron dance. Walking back and forth, looking to get a little bit of damage down before the fight starts, hoping to find some kind of tiny advantage to give an edge. Right now, though, H2K with a big advantage. Gold clearly in their favor at this point in the game. Hylissang, though, still fishing.
Look at the bottom lane. Big wave stacks. Here comes the ulti from Nuclear.
Off to the side, trying to zone the team out. On the hunt has been used.
Oh,
that big
ulti.
Combined with the ultimate. Wombo combo, baby. Taking him down. Febiven, though, may just give his life. Nuclear lays down the damage. Samux is already dead. Exile is running. H2K are cleaning up house. It's a good fight. It may just win them the game because Odo is no hesitation, TPing into the base. He sees the minion wave there. He sees his chance to bring it to match point. Vedius, H2K are wiping the floor with Unicorns of Love. It is an immaculate performance in the fight. Exile doing his best to hold on, but there's just too many members in the middle of his base for any hope to remain. He's probably going to take down Jankos. Jankos, no! Turns it around. And this is going to be the game ender. One explosive team fight. All it took for H2K to close it out. And it's a good look for the team overall.
Such a fantastic team fight for H2K at the very end of the game. Perfect setup, perfect execution. And I feel like that if Unicorns want to stand a chance to bring us to a game 5, they need to take Chei off of this Rakan. That man is too good.
Do not give this champion away.
Oh man. H2K, they played phenomenally in that second game. They were the ones to finally get themselves the early game lead. And while things were still relatively close, for a lot of the mid game, it was always H2K that were in control.
In that moment around the pit, I feel like that's where H2K just looked dominant. And once they got control, once they got that big gold lead, they never let go. They punished those engages from Unicorns of Love. Even when Unicorns of Love came over the wall for that Cloud Drake, Vedius, when they looked for that aggressive engage, H2K still had their contingency plan, still had Nuclear and Chei on the top side of the map, pushing in for those towers. And this is just, it's a good look for H2K right now. We talked about mental fortitude, not an issue for this team, even after getting destroyed in game 1. They are looking good right now, and it's now pressure on Unicorns of Love. They're the ones who have to adapt here.
Yes, yes, they are. And the big thing for me is, like, Vizicsacsi in this series, I feel like his impact has been very minimal. In game 1, a lot of the emphasis was put onto Xerxe and Exile. In game 2, the split pushing Trundle really didn't have that much of an impact. And now in game 3, his Maokai, a lot of his engages were not optimal. I feel like that he's not really providing anything from the side lane. And I just want to see him have a little bit more impact with the team. maybe find other ways to force fights, maybe find other ways to get involved, and for sure, take Chei off of this Rakan, because I feel like he is causing way too many problems for the UOL lineup right now.
And I think Hylissang, a lot of confidence in that Thresh, especially after game 1, but a little too much confidence. And it's rare that we see the veteran members of Unicorns of Love be the ones underperforming. And we talked about this, the Des talked about this when we look at the series. You really need to see these guys step up. We want to see Spring Split MVP Vizicsacsi. We want to see that playmaker Hylissang. But also not the Hylissang that's going to leap in when his team isn't there to follow up. Not the Hylissang that's going to take these giant risks that don't just affect him as the support player, but the entire team.
Yeah, and now they are potentially one loss away from losing their opportunity at the World Championship. And H2K are in a position where they can go up against Fnatic tomorrow and potentially make the miracle gauntlet run of being able to beat all 3 teams. So a lot on the line in the next game. Things are getting very tense, but remember that all year long, Unicorns have always found a way.
See, maybe now is the chance. Well, only one win is standing between H2K and a shot versus Fnatic tomorrow. We're going to see if they can pull it off when we come back.
Oh, baby.
Well,